Greetings from Citizen News Service and welcome to this special episode of NTB Dialogues, a special interview series presenting insightful and thought-provoking conversations with leaders to accelerate progress towards ending TB. This series underpins the urgency to step up the fight against the epidemic. 193 countries have promised to eliminate TB by 2030 and India has promised to eliminate it by 2025, 5 years ahead of the global schedule. So there are only 75 months left for us to end the epidemic and 135 months left globally to get rid of tuberculosis. But as per the latest global TB report, the world is not on track to meet even the end TB strategy goals for 2020, let alone 2030. So new and fresh thinking is required to reimagine every critical cog in the wheel to end TB, as well as to accelerate progress towards other SDGs. This episode of NTB Dialogues features a special guest, Dr. Randeep Guleria, who is director of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. I think it's the most premier institute of India, and he's also chairman of the
Latent tuberculosis
infection committee. So welcome, Dr. Guleria.
Thank you.
And we are really interested in knowing, I think for long we have been neglecting latent tuberculosis, and if I'm not wrong, but correct me, that every new case of tuberculosis comes from the latent TB pool?
No, not necessarily. So when we look at tuberculosis infection, it can occur through two sources. One is a latent TB, that is someone who already has dormant bacilli in the body, and when his immunity comes down, those bacilli become active, and it's called what we call reactivation, and that causes tuberculosis. The second is reinfection, that you come in contact with a person who has active pulmonary tuberculosis, he's coughing, the TB bacilli come in the environment like an aerosol, and you inhale that and you get the infection from the person that you have come in contact with. That is called reinfection. So in our country, we used to say that both reinfection and reactivation are equally common. Some people said one is slightly more than the other, but there is a huge pool of individuals who have what we call latent tuberculosis infection. As a matter of fact, WHO estimates that almost 1/3 of the global population has latent TB infection. That means there is TB infection in the body in healthy individuals who are otherwise not having active disease, but have the potential of getting active disease in later life if their immunity comes down or this latent TB becomes active. So if we have to eliminate tuberculosis, we have to treat active disease, but we also have to manage the latent TB, especially in those individuals in whom there is a high chance that this latent TB will become active, because if it becomes active, then they will become infectious and they will also pass on the infection to others, and then we will not be able to control tuberculosis as we are planning to do by 2025.
So what are those special groups which at least are being targeted in India as of now?
So currently we have definitely two groups who we definitely need to treat. One is people living with HIV infection, because their immunity is low and they have a very high chance of developing active TB. So they are the ones who we need to treat or prevent getting treat for latent tubercular infection. Secondly, as children less than 6 years who have come in contact with an individual in the household who has active tuberculosis. So if you have someone who has TB and there is a child, the child's immunity is low, and there is a very high chance that this child will also get infection which may stay as latent and become active later on. To prevent that, these two groups we are saying that they should be treated. They will be treated in the program for latent tubercular infection, so that they don't get the infection.
What is the current status of treating all people with HIV? Are they being put?
So currently, yes, as far as the program is concerned, all patients who are are HIV positive are being given 6 months treatment with INH as part of our latent tuberculosis treatment, without even testing whether they have latent TB or not, because there is a issue with the testing also. And similarly, household children with household contacts who are positive, who have childhood tuberculosis, are also being recommended. The challenge is implementation. So what we are finding is that even in the program condition where it is being done, implementation needs to be improved. We need to reach a target of more than 90%. That we are not able to do right now, and therefore we have to strengthen our program so that we are able to implement this across the country for all patients with HIV and contacts where children are less than 6 years of age.
All right. Now, this brings to my mind, even say for children, what would be the challenges in implementation? One thing is that personally for me as a lay person, if I am not sick, why do I need to take a medicine?
Correct. So that is the biggest challenge, and it's for 6 months currently. So you are now going to ask people, especially forget the HIV, the children, parents of children who are less than 6 months, that your child is asymptomatic. He is playing, he has no fever, he has no cough, nothing, but you give him treatment tablet every day for 6 months, because that will prevent him from getting tuberculosis. The acceptability among the community and among parents is less, and compliance for taking it regularly for 6 months is low. People taking a treatment for 6 months. So what are we doing? We are looking at two strategies. One is newer regimens where treatment is shorter. It could be 1 month. It could be a weekly regimen for 3 months. So there are new drugs available. Rifampicin is available, where there are now studies which show that if you give it only once a week for 3 months, you are getting very good results. So rather than giving it daily, it's easier to give it once a week. And secondly, increasing awareness among the public that this will actually protect your child and therefore will prevent active TB, and therefore it is useful to take it, and it's a safe treatment and the side effect is not an issue. So more of better communication skills, better awareness, and finding better regimens which can be taken are also things that are being implemented, are being looked at.
What about test and treat? Supposing, means if I get tested for something, again I am talking from the perspective of the common person. If I get tested and the test is positive, okay, I will think of going in for treatment. But without testing, it will be difficult to convince me that you go for treatment. So what is your take?
So in the other groups which we find are high risk, we, for example, after 5 years and to adolescent age, 18 years, household contacts of sputum positive, we would recommend that they should be tested and treated, because there the number is larger, and we need to also look at it from another point of view, that we have to have a good test, a test which is validated, which is also shown to be useful in our country, because test and treat will work only in a situation where the test has a high sensitivity and specificity. So we currently, the tests that are available, the MON2 test or the tuberculin skin test, is something where the sensitivity and specificity is not that high. New tests are coming up, and hopefully within the next 6 months we will have better tests. The other tests which are available, the interferon gamma release assay, the quantiferon, are more expensive, and it's a test which is imported, and therefore the cost is high, and if you want to use it for a large population, it becomes less practical. It's a blood test, so it also has other issues with it. So I think the issue would be that in certain groups where the risk is very high, you can treat without testing. In other groups where there is the issue that the risk may be moderate, you should test and treat, but get a good test available in the market, which we will have hopefully in the next 6 months.
Okay, what is that test?
It's a CTB test, which is looking at it's like the MON2 test only, but looking at more precise antigen, so that you get a better diagnosis, and that will be cost effective. It is going to be around 20 rupees a test, 20 to 50 rupees. So it's a cheap test. It will be available, and it will give us it will be more sensitive and specific than the current available test.
Okay, and the quantiferon test is expensive. So if the costs are brought down, perhaps.
Yes, the quantiferon test is expensive, and it's also a blood-based test. So there are issues with that. So the feeling is that if we have a cheaper test which is as good as the quantiferon and can be rolled out in the as a program, then that should be adopted.
Okay, I just wanted to know that that preventive therapy, does it have to be given once, or does it have to be repeated, or what is it like?
So that's a good question. I don't think we have a definite answer. So in countries or in an area where the prevalence of tuberculosis is low, once is good enough, because again, like I said in the beginning, you have reinfection and reactivation. So if you, let's say you have some bacteria in your body and you are worried that they will become active, you treat once and you get rid of those bacteria, then if you are not going to get the infection to the community, you need not worry. On the other hand, if you have a situation where chance of reinfection are also high, then you're always worried that you have treated now and you have become all right and you have taken care of the infection, but you may get some infection occurring later on, and again you may have the bacilli staying in the body and causing active infection later on. So in our country both are an issue. So we need to see how does it work in our country, and as we move aggressively to control tuberculosis by treatment, will treating latent tuberculosis also help in decreasing the number of active TB cases?
Is there anything called latent drug resistant TB?
So there is an issue that is always of concern, that is it possible that the bacilli may have become latent but may have resistance to the current available drugs, and therefore when you are giving treatment, will it be effective because the drugs may be, the bacteria may be resistant to the drugs? It's an area of research right now to look at how it evolves and what is the resistance that happens, because when we talk of latent tuberculosis, we are talking of very few bacteria. It's what we call paucibacillary. So chances of very high resistance in very few bacteria are much less. Resistance is related to the bacillary load. So if you have very high bacteria, chance of resistance are high. If you have very few bacteria, chance of resistance are low. Therefore chances of saying that there will be a high number of people with latent resistant TB is very low. More research needs to be done in this area.
But there could be, there must be.
Theoretically, you could argue that that is a possibility, yes.
And what about moving on from latent TB to active TB, the role of bedaquiline and delamanid, the latest drugs to control drug resistant TB? What are the precautions which need to be taken, because as activists we say that everyone needs to get the drugs what they need, but we have to also be careful about the resistance. We don't want resistance to develop to these drugs. So what adequate precautions?
So that already checks and balances have been there. These are two very good drugs. Bedaquiline is already available and delamanid is there, and there are new drugs which are coming. If you go back in time and look at the history of tuberculosis, tuberculosis is a very smart bacteria and it evolves and develops resistance quickly. And one of the problems that has been there with a lot of drugs which are available is the resistance which has emerged related to misuse of the medication. Now we must understand that everyone treats TB. It's not only the TB specialist, but it's the orthopedician, it's the gynecologist, it's the, let's say, the surgeon and the physician. If we have a drug which is available in the market freely, everyone without realizing what they are doing will start prescribing it, and knowing how the bacteria behaves and knowing that some people may prescribe a subtherapeutic dose or may give an intermittent dose, we may have a very high chance of resistance developing quickly, and we may lose a good drug in our fight against resistant tuberculosis and land up in a situation where we were, say, 10 years ago when we had no new drug available. So to protect the misuse of these drugs, it's being used mainly through program and through various areas. Any patient who has multi-drug resistant tuberculosis and needs these drugs is provided these drugs in those area, in that area, in these centers, and therefore through the program, through the RNTCP, these drugs are available rather than being available over the counter. Second issue is that there is also a need to monitor for side effects in these drugs. Some of them can lead to a little bit of cardiac issues. So that is the other important thing that we are trying to do.
Okay, so they are not available in the private sector, rightly so.
Not as of now.
Rightly so also. Yes. The UN World Lung Health Conference is just a week away, and the global TB report doesn't paint a very good picture of what is happening around globally and in India as well. So would you suggest some out-of-box approaches? Do we need to reimagine this whole TB care and control field? Can you suggest some out-of-box approach?
So we have, like you said, we have to be aggressive, look at strategies which are different, look at how technology can help us. You must remember tuberculosis has been there since ancient times. The history of TB bacteria has gone along with the evolution of man, and therefore this is a bacteria which has evolved over centuries, and therefore if we have to defeat it, we will have to think of newer ideas, looking at newer therapies which may not be only related to medication, but looking at other ways of attacking it, like the host immune response. So a lot of studies are going on to look at how can we improve our own immunity, can we look at other medications, immunotherapy, other things which can also help in the fight against tuberculosis over and above the drugs that we're giving. But the other important thing to remember is that if you look at what happens in the West, when tuberculosis came down, it came down not because of medication, it came down because of improvement in hygiene, socioeconomic status, and that is the most important thing to remember, that the control of tuberculosis in Europe, in the US, started even before medication was available, because the standard of living and health in general improved. It's a infection which passes from one person to the other because of close contact. So if we can overall improve, focus on the health and hygiene of the population and better awareness of preventive measures and nutrition, then also I think the fight against tuberculosis will be easier to do. So I think rather than focusing only on medication, we need to have more holistic approach.
Yeah, and so it needs to be a multi-sectoral approach.
Correct.
Definitely, because infection control, basic infection
So
control.
treating tuberculosis should be everyone's responsibility, every sector's, whether it is looking at sanitation, whether it's looking at hygiene, whether it's looking at nutrition, or it's looking at medication.
And in fact, the global TB report says in India the highest risk factor for TB is undernourishment.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying, undernourishment, overcrowding, lower socioeconomic status, these are areas where we need to also focus on, because that will also help more than just giving more and more medication for resistant TB.
Is it happening in India, or this?
So there is a move which is happening. We are looking at a lot of policies which are looking at nutrition. There is a whole focus on nutrition. The Poshan Abhiyan is there. We have other issues looking at the Swachhta Abhiyan in terms of better hygiene, sanitation. So overall, all of these will have an impact on better TB control.
Okay. Anything else? Your message for the conference?
So my message would be that we need to work as a team, look at all aspects of tuberculosis, not focus only on the medication part, and if we work together with purpose and intent, keeping in mind the poorest of the poor and the people who really need our support, we will be able to conquer tuberculosis within the next 5 years.
Thank you very much. Friends, we were listening to Dr. Randeep Guleria, Director, Director, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and a noted TB specialist, and he has really contributed in shaping the TB control policies of India. He was speaking to us in the NTB Dialogue series of Citizen News Service. Thank you. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.